Now to officially start our meeting, Commissioner Batcher, would you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda this morning is approval of the regular session minutes of October the 6th, 2021. Board, are there any additions or deletions?
None here.
Hearing none, could I call for a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Public participation is the next thing on our agenda this morning. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to participate in public participation? Seeing none, we will move on to our next agenda item. Do we want to move item G up for our presentation this morning? And that is a presentation by Hannah Lubers, who's
Hannah
shaking her
says
head yes. Okay. We're moving you up on the agenda, Hannah. Good morning to you.
Having me. So I'm Hannah Lubers. I'm the director with the Office of Environmental Quality. So I'm going to give a little overview of our department today. So as you all know, we're actually a joint department. We do a lot of work in Adams County because we're part of the Adams-Clermont Solid Waste District. So we run some programs in Adams as well as Clermont County. Some of those programs include the waste and recycling. We provide guidance to the public. They call in with questions and visit our website. We operate recycling programs in schools and offices and also have our drop-off recycling program. We offer educational programs to schools and the public, and then we also operate a waste transfer facility out in Adams County in West Union. Under the Water Resources Department, we are pretty involved in the closed Seacoast hazardous waste landfill. They're responsible for reporting their regulatory compliance to the state and the feds, and we keep an eye on that. And we also do some water quality monitoring surrounding the facility as an additional assurance to the county. We are also very involved in the wastewater laboratory that's housed out on US 50 in Milford. It's actually in the closed P&G Stream Research Facility, and it's a shared facility. So our wastewater lab's there's 5 staff members. They also run the industrial waste pretreatment program, which is responsible for overseeing 13 industries and growing. And they are just ensuring that there's not too many pollutants of concerns that are going to disrupt our wastewater treatment plants and their removal capabilities. We also oversee that lease because we lease part of that facility to US EPA. They do stream research there. So we act as the lease and facilities manager for that rental agreement. And then we are very active in the East Fork of the Little Miami River Watershed Collaborative. And that's actually where I want to spend the majority of my time in my presentation today because it is our 25th year anniversary was this year. And so that was one of the main reasons for forming the Office of Environmental Quality was to protect water quality in Clermont County. So I just want to give an update of what has been accomplished over the years and then talk about some of the newer programs that we've been working on. So 25 years ago, the county was experiencing rapid growth. They were working on the wastewater master plan and had concerns about not being able to expand sewers in some of the more rural areas of the county, wanted to preserve water quality in those areas. And so part of the county mission statement at that time actually said to take action to begin to manage critical sources of non-point source pollution. And non-point source pollution is just that pollution that you can't really pinpoint. It could be coming from fields, lawns, farms, and also septic systems are considered a non-point source of pollution. So it's a little harder to regulate than a point source of pollution. And the commissioners at that time wanted our department to become local experts on water quality in our region. So we set about building a water quality monitoring and sampling program. We do most of that in-house, and it was to be able to identify priority areas of concern with high pollution and also to be able to assess long-term trends in water quality. And we are now actually level 3 certified with the state of Ohio, which is the highest certification you can have. Our program is level 3 certified, and that means I think we're one of 2 public agencies in the state that have that certification, and it just means that we adhere to rigorous QC. And so if any of our sampling results were going to be put into a legal issue, then that would hold up that can be used for regulatory purposes. So, for example, a TMDL, which I'll talk about later, and also if anything surrounding the Seacoast facility was to go into litigation, that data would hold up better in court. And then our lab, our wastewater lab, is also certified by the state as a certified public laboratory. We saw, this entire watershed. We wanted to build a comprehensive watershed monitoring program, which is kind of a big task for a small department, split between two departments. So we started partnering with some of the other agencies that are involved in the watershed, federal, state, and local partners. Federal, including US EPA, who shares our wastewater laboratory. They were doing some work in the watershed, and then the Army Corps of Engineers does a lot of work in the lake. Some of our local partners include water resources and the Park District and Soil and Water Conservation Districts, especially the Clermont Soil and Water District. And then a unique part of this cooperative is that we've been working a lot with local landowners, including farmers or producers. So we've been able to leverage all of our resources to build a comprehensive monitoring program covering the entire watershed. And US EPA, one of our partners, was actually able to use all of our data to build one of the most calibrated models in the United States. And that's proven to be an advantage to us for several reasons that I'll cover. One of the original ones was back in 1998 when Ohio EPA was coming in to do their routine sampling of the East Fork to make sure it's in compliance with the Clean Water Act. They do this in watersheds all over the state, and they found that the East Fork was in non-compliance, and they found that it was mainly due to nutrients. And so what would typically happen is they would implement a nutrient total maximum daily load, or a TMDL, which is essentially a pollution budget for the watershed. And they have regulatory authority over point sources only, so that typically would mean discharge limits on the point sources in the watershed. But because we had this watershed collaborative, and our data was showing that the watershed was impaired due to multiple reasons beyond nutrients, they gave us a little bit of flexibility and allowed us some time to try and address that impairment in the watershed. So we set out to address that impairment, focusing on the implementation phase of improving stream health in the East Fork. We continued to work with all of our partners, especially the local partners on this. Clermont Soil and Water Conservation has been a big partner. We were able to obtain a watershed coordinator, I believe it was back in 2002, and have had one ever since. And actually Becky's here with us today. She's been our watershed coordinator in the East Fork for, I think, like 13 years, right? Yeah, a long time. She started back around when I did, so she's been getting a lot of funding to implement management practices to address the impairment in the watershed over the years, including, these are some of the projects that have been done: in-stream restoration, bank stabilization, riparian corridor protection, and dam removals. And so these all work to improve those causes of impairment that we had seen, improving in-stream habitat, flashiness, restoring the hydrology to its natural state. And in fact, we've removed all of the low-head dams. There are 3 of them in the watershed, actually since Becky started, so that's a big achievement. The county started seeing harmful algal blooms pretty much like the rest of the state and probably country back in 2012. So we had a lot of data that allowed us to respond to this, and this is an important resource to the county, both for recreational purposes and as a drinking water source. We know that it's about a $2.7 million annual economic impact to the region. So we wanted to try and start focusing our watershed efforts in the upper watershed draining to the lake. We've done a lot of work in the lower watershed. Wanted to move upstream. Because we had all of this local data and a very well-populated model by the US EPA, and we knew that nutrients cause harmful algal blooms, we were able to use the model to identify where the major source of nutrients is coming from. And we saw that we kind of had speculated a lot would be coming from failing septic systems, but actually 70 to 90% is coming from agricultural runoff. So we decided to start focusing our resources there. Another benefit of this highly calibrated model that we have is that we can identify how many best management practices we would need to actually make a dent. So is it actually possible to reduce the harmful algal bloom levels in the lake. And if we look at the water quality, the nutrient levels in the lake prior to 2008, they were much lower, and they could set the model to that standard. And then the model is telling us that we need over 40,000 acres of cover crops, we need filter strips, and over 1,000 acres of wetlands, which is quite a big ask, but we're making progress on it. Another advantage of the model is that we can look at a smaller scale. You can actually zoom into parcel levels. And if you see on this graph here, all the red area are actually fields that are contributing the most amount of nitrogen in the watershed. So when we get funding for best management practices, it's typically through the state or the feds. We have limited funding available to us. We can actually target these areas and get more bang for our buck. So we did have a grant that was for a sub-watershed, and you could only choose a HUC 12, and that's just a sub-watershed portion in that greater watershed. And so we focused it in that area and kind of in the middle where you see a lot of red. We figured it'd be more effective there if we could place best management practices. Some of the other agricultural best management practices we've been working on, again, working heavily with our partners, USDA and Soil and Water, been getting some cover crops on the ground. And we've also been doing some edge of field monitoring to see what kind of runoff is leaving these fields to populate the model, and then also to determine how effective these practices are.
Hannah, did you color on my paperwork so I could read it, Commissioner Painter?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was an easy one. We're also working on those wetlands. So treatment wetlands can remove nutrients. So I know the commissioners were actually able to see one of them. We call it our Conservation Innovation Grant, but it's a submerged vegetated bed. Clermont County has really challenging soils to work with. It's essentially acting as pavement. Water just runs right off. It doesn't infiltrate into the ground to be treated or slowed down. And that causes problems downstream. So we were trying to figure out a way to slow the water down and treat it and bring it underground and treat it. And we came up with an innovative design modifying a stormwater practice for an agricultural setting. And it was pretty successful. We were able to show through our data that it removed 30% of the nitrogen and phosphorus. And that's pretty good, especially considering it's only treating 18% of the water moving off those fields. So if we scaled it appropriately, I think it would be more efficient. And NRCS is actually moving this forward as a state-approved practice, which would mean that farmers could apply for funding to install this on their property. So we've shown it's effective in our region, and hopefully, I don't know how fast that'll move through, but hopefully we can get some more farmers installing these practices. Another big project that we're working on now that's slated for construction next year is the Williamsburg Wetland. It's funded through H2 Ohio funding, and it's going to be a passive off-channel wetland design, which there's been a lot of those installed throughout the region, but there's not a lot of data showing how effective they can be at removing nutrients, so we plan on doing some monitoring there. One of the grants we got to construct also included some monitoring. So we'll be able to tell how effective that is because it can actually be a pretty low-cost alternative to constructed wetlands. So if it's effective, we'll plan on getting more of these grants to install that. We call that little meandering piece there. It doesn't show up too well on your handout, but we call that the gut. That's the portion that would be pretty common and we could install in a lot of other areas. And then water's also going to be diverted to the old drinking water reservoir, which is that square area on the upper left. That'll be modified a little bit. And it'll be able to store about 12% of the runoff from that river every year. So that's a lot. A lot of water moves through there. So because we have this unique partnership with all these different agencies, we've now become a nationally recognized watershed program in the East Fork of Little Miami River. The relationships that some of the agencies have with the farmers has been great. We've been able to get more practices down on the ground. Back in, I think it was 2008, there were 0 farmers that had signed up for cover crop plants on their farms. And 5 years later, we had over 10,000 acres of cover crops planted. So we're making inroads there towards that 40,000 acre goal. Our model is allowing us to cost effectively place practices on the ground. And then because we have shown a commitment to monitoring the effectiveness and also have shown a proven track record of completing these projects successfully. We've been getting more and more attention to this area, which is actually leading to more funding for projects, which is great. This is all of the funding that we've got for the watershed over the past 10 years. The top area showing mostly all of that is for agricultural incentive practices that would be used to install practices upstream of the lake that will hopefully remove nutrient runoff and lessen the harmful algal blooms. And so that's approaching $4 million, and overall the grants received is approaching $10 million, and I bet we'll probably reach that next year. That's a good goal to have. Another benefit that we've seen in addition to the increased funding is that we've seen improvements in water quality. Ohio EPA came back to do their TMDL follow-up study back in 2017, and they found that the main stem of the East Fork downstream of the lake is in full attainment of its water quality standards for biological health, which means that there will be no nutrient TMDL for the main stem downstream of the lake, which should mean that there are no nutrient limits for any of the NPDES permits discharging to the main stem downstream of the lake. Upstream of the lake is a different story. As we could have guessed, the lake is impaired. They're considering it an impaired drinking source water because of the HABs. And so there's going to be a nutrient TMDL upstream of the lake for nitrogen and phosphorus. And what that means is there will be what they've told us so far, everything's not finalized yet, is that there's going to be discharge limits on these small wastewater treatment plants listed in the figure on the bottom right. They're going to be doing a moderate approach, so they'll be having moderate discharge limits on nutrients, and they're targeting 1 milligram per liter phosphorus and 10 milligrams per liter nitrogen is what they've said they are considering going with that approach. And we're happy with that, and we think that we've been pretty successful as becoming local leaders on water quality in the region because they're actually going to be using the model that US EPA developed using our data. So in conclusion, we're going to be keeping on working on adding more and more of these management practices to the upper watershed because we really want to focus on getting those nutrient loads down and hopefully lessening harmful algal blooms in the lake. So we'll continue working on that, and overall this program wouldn't have been successful without our many, many partners, so I want to thank them, and wouldn't have been possible without the vision that the county had 25 years ago. So just want to thank you all for the support over the years. Thanks.
Hang on a minute. Becky, why don't you come up and join us?
Yeah.
Any questions this morning from the board? Questions? Okay, then we'll start. We have a certificate appreciation for you and your staff, everybody that works there. We hereby present the Office of Environmental Quality with the certificate appreciation, and we really appreciate all you do for the citizens of Clermont County. It's signed by all three commissioners, myself, Claire Corcoran, David Painter, and Bonnie Batchelor. We thank you for all you do, and we'd like to have a picture of you holding this with the entire group today. Come on down, let's get a picture. And thanks for the beads when we went out to the field.
Yeah, I
Those
wasn't
were
there,
great.
so.
Yeah, they were great. They were just wonderful.
They told me about that, and I was like, yeah.
Well,
those
I'll do
pictures
that
are
now.
out.
And Commissioner Payne decided to resign on my, my readout today.
You know, they
Yeah.
they have a tendency to put their paperwork on the dais real early.
We have to
And it just
anyway.
invites, comments.
So he had to comment, but I liked your comment.
We have to get
Oh,
together.
come this way.
Get up here.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's get Becky in
Yeah,
here too.
totally.
Oh, you're part of this team. Come on, Becky. Yeah, I was, watch out for him.
Alright, we'll go in 3, 2, 1.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. You did that, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I've got my own people that are
Oh, you
messing
did.
with me.
No.
I know, they do yours for you.
Keep your eye on him. Chair.
That's my heart.
And my chair.
No.
Moving on to the agenda this morning, next thing we have is going to be the consent agenda. Board, we've had these documents in advance. Are there any deletions or corrections to the consent agenda this morning?
None.
And hearing none, could I call for motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes. We'll move on to non-consent agenda, starting with item number 8 this morning. Item number 8 is a recommendation of the Board of County Commissioners to adopt Resolution 166-21, resolving to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $2,560.35 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated October 13, 2021, and BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and/or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 10/11/2021, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for same pursuant to Section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes. Item number 9, Connie Tibby, good morning.
Good morning. Item number 9 is the recommendation of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to complete the biennial review of the Clermont County Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan, the PRC plan, process required by Chapter 5108 of the Ohio Revised Code, and to approve an amended Clermont County Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on October 15, 1997, and subsequently amended through 34 superseding amendments thereto, with the current amended Clermont County PRC plan ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on April 15th of 2020, effective March 27th of 2020, with modifications to the Clermont County PRC plan resulting from the 2021 biennial review to include 1. Minor modifications to the Clermont County PRC plan as outlined therein, 2. The addition of the Employment Incentive Program, attached thereto as Appendix E, and 3. An updated monthly federal poverty levels for 2021, attached thereto as Appendix A, and further to authorize Timothy Dick, Director, Department of Job and Family Services, to execute the Clermont County Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan as amended therefore, with said modifications to the plan to be effective on October the 1st of 2021.
Board, you've heard the reading and recommendation to complete the biennial review of the Clermont County Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan, and this is with the modifications as read. Is there a motion to approve this morning?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes, thank you, Connie. Item number 10, Lieutenant Nick DeRose. Good morning.
Morning.
The recommendation of Robert S. Leahy, County Sheriff, with the concurrence of Joe Mooney, Clermont County Prosecutor, and Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize Claire B. Corcoran, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute subgrant award agreement for subgrant number 2020-RO-ETF-00021 from the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice Services, P.O. Box 182632, 1970, West Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio 43218, for funding through the Recovery Ohio 2020 grant program for the projected entitled Clermont County Drug Unit in the amount of $62,172.70, with no local match required for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. For and on behalf of the County Sheriff of County of Clermont, Ohio, as designated agency for the administration and implementation thereof, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein, and in concert with the grant application heretofore filed electronically by the County Sheriff on or about February 11, 2021.
Board, you've heard the recommendation and the reading to execute the sub-grant award agreement for, and this is from the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice Services, for funding through the Recovery Ohio 2020 grant program for the project entitled Clermont County Drug Unit. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 11, Jessica Wiederhold. Morning, Jessica.
Item number 11 is a recommendation of John Cascaden, Director of Department of Public Safety Services, with the concurrence of Greg Bickford, Assistant County Administrator, to approve the request to advertise for bids for maintenance and repair services for the generators located at Clermont County in northern Kentucky tower sites, pursuant to the specifications, therefore, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and October 28th, 2021, with bids to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, November 18th, 2021, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, where they will be publicly open and read aloud shortly thereafter. This notice will also be posted on Clermont County's website at the following URL link, www.clermontcountyohio.gov.
Board, we have a recommendation in front of us to approve the request to advertise for bids for maintenance and repair services for generators located in Clermont County and northern Kentucky tower sites. Is there a motion this morning to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes, thank you, Jessica. Item number 12, Love Bloom, good morning.
Item 12 is a recommendation to approve the request to advertise for bids for furnishing and delivery of polymer for the Clermont County Water Resources Department pursuant to the specifications, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on Thursday, October 28th, 2021 at 10 a.m. local time, with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, November 4th, 2021, here in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, where they will be publicly open and read aloud shortly thereafter, and the legal notice will also be posted on the county's website. We're estimating approximately $216,882 for our cost. That would be an annual cost, and this would be a 3-year contract.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to approve the request to advertise for bids for the furnishing and delivery of polymer for the Clermont County Water Resources Department. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Item number 13, Lyle.
Item 13 is a recommendation to authorize Claire B. Corcoran, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute change order number 2 to the contract with Smith Corp. Incorporated out of Cincinnati, Ohio. This was previously ratified by the board on November 13th, 2019, and subsequently amended on May 27th, 2020. And this is for project number 6401-60172, relative to the Branch Hill Guinea Road Water Main Replacement Project. That's Bridle to Merle and Jerriless to Glen Echo. This is in Miami Township and represents a decrease in the amount of $79,418.05 for a total adjusted contract price to date of $1,861,755.33, and as well as a non-compensable extension of time of 12 calendar days for the completion, and a revised contract completion date of August 6, 2020.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to execute change order number 2 to contract with Smith Corp. Incorporated. This is for Miami Township. Is there a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Item number 14, Lyle Bloom.
Item 14 is a recommendation to execute an extension of contract between Clermont County and CME Pipelining LLC, doing business as SWS Environmental out of Cincinnati, Ohio, for CCTV inspection and cleaning of sewers for the Clermont County Water Resources Department. This is previously ratified by the board on January 6, 2021, for an additional 1-year period effective January 6, 2022 through January 5, 2023, pursuant to and in compliance with Article 8 of the contract, for an estimated total amount of $157,425, with all other terms and conditions thereof to remain in full force and effect, and contingent upon the adoption of the annual appropriations for 2022.
Board, there's a recommendation to execute an extension of contract by and between Clermont County, Ohio and CME Pipelining LLC, doing business as SWS Environmental, and this is for the CCTV inspection and cleaning of the sewers for the Clermont County Water Resources Department. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes. Item number 15, thank you, Lyle. Wade Grabowski, good morning to you.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
Before we read the agenda item, I'd like to introduce the Court Administrator for Juvenile Court, Mr. Gary Bryan, and Greg Hawkins, who is the Physical Plant Manager. They're here for this very important agenda
Good
item.
morning to both of you.
Agenda item number 15 is a recommendation from myself, Wade Grabowski, Director of Facilities Management, with the concurrence of Mr. Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to approve the request to advertise for bids for the Juvenile Court Expansion Renovation Project pursuant to the plans and specifications therefore, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, scheduling a non-mandatory pre-meeting on Thursday, November 4th, 2021 at 10 a.m. local time to be held at the Clermont County Juvenile Court, 2340 Clermont Center Drive in Batavia, with bids to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, December 2nd, 2021, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main, Batavia, where they will be publicly opened and read aloud shortly thereafter. And this notice will also be posted on Clermont County's website.
Board, there is a recommendation before us this morning to advertise for the bids for the Juvenile Court Expansion and Renovation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Commissioners, I apologize. I believe the motion as written is scheduling a mandatory pre-bid meeting. Is that mandatory? Okay, I just wanted to clarify because I believe it was read into the record a little bit differently.
I read it non-mandatory. It should be mandatory.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Grabowski.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is mandatory.
Mandatory.
All right, any further discussion on that or clarifications? Do you want it reread or not?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Commissioner
Call for
Bat-
vote.
Before you, Bonnie, would you modify your motion with that modification?
Yes.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 16. Good morning, Mary Raines.
Mary Raines from the Office of Management and Budget. This item is a request to increase the 2021 annual appropriations in a couple of different funds. Prosecutor's Delinquent Tax Fund, regular salaries $7,400, fringes $3,800, and other expenses $120,000. The Enhanced Wireless Fund, in the amount of $1,306. The Workers' Compensation Program expenses, $28,430, and the Juvenile Court Special Project Fund in the amount of $80,403.
Board, you've heard the reading by Mary Raines, and these are for authorization changes in the annual appropriation resolution number 191-20 for the calendar year 2021 as read. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes, thank you, Mary. Moving on the agenda this morning to item F. Are there any additions this morning to the agenda?
Yeah, we have two for the board's consideration. The first is to accept a proposal from Voya Financial for stop-loss coverage, and the second is an executive session pursuant to ORC Section 12122 G3.
Board, I'm asking at this time for a motion to approve these two, or to add these two items to the agenda. Is there a motion to add?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes. So the first addition is
Good morning.
Yvonne, good morning to you.
Yvonne Smith, Benefit Plan Coordinator for Clermont County Benefits. It is my recommendation, with the concurrence of Sandy Tahat, Human Resources Administrator, to ratify the 2021 stop-loss insurance policy and accept the proposals submitted by Voya Financial of Bellevue, Washington, to provide stop-loss protection for the county's medical and prescription drug plans for calendar year 2022. as recommended by USI and approved by the board on 9/22/21, to authorize Voya Financial to renew the 2021 stop-loss policy with the agreed-upon terms for 2022, and to authorize Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute the documents necessary to effectuate the renewal pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein, and contingent upon the adoption of the 2022 annual appropriations and issuance and receipt of a purchase order therefore.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to ratify the 2021 stop-loss insurance policy and accept the proposal submitted by Voya Financial Incorporated, and this is to provide stop-loss protection for the county's medical and prescription drug plans for the calendar year 2022, and this is to authorize Voya Financial Incorporated to renew the 2021 stop-loss policy with the agreed-upon terms for 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Thank you.
You very much. Our second item we had that was added is to go into executive session. Is that correct? Board, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session, and this is pursuant to Section 121.22G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to confer with the prosecuting attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes, we will now go into executive session, and we will return shortly. Thank you. We have returned from executive session. No decisions were made this morning. At this time, I'm calling for a motion to go into recess until our 11 o'clock public hearing this morning. Is there a motion to go into recess?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes, we will return at 11 o'clock. Thank you. We have returned from recess at this time. Now we're going into a public hearing this morning. This is Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, 11 o'clock a.m. And before the board, we have a request to vacate a portion of Burns Road, T321 in Washington Township, pursuant to Chapter 5553.045 of the Ohio Revised Code. It is here at the Commissioner's office where we're having the public hearing. And is there anyone present that would like to participate this morning? Please sign in for the official record. We have no one here, so do we have a county engineer's report this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Greg Reisner, County Engineer's Office. Today we have a proposed vacation of a portion of Burns Road, Township Road 321, located in Washington Township. The length of the proposed vacation is 0.218 miles. I've reviewed the provided road vacation request contained in a Washington Township Board of Trustees Resolution 21-53, dated September 2nd of 2021. The resolution asks to vacate a portion of Burns Road, Township Road 321, which is located in Washington Township, beginning at the property line of Todd Cartmill and extending south to the dead end of Burns Road. All the vacation request is contained within tax map parcel number 433308J25, owned by Todd Cartmill. The proposed vacation will reduce the Washington Township ODOT road mileage certification, and if the approved Burns Road, the new length will be 1.032 miles. The proposed vacation will not create any landlocked parcels. So this vacation begins at the centerline intersections of Burns Road and the northerly property line of 433308J25, owned by Todd Cartmill, and extends south and west for a distance of 1,150 feet to the dead end of Burns Road. The dead end of Burns Road was established by the Board of County Commissioners in Journal 13, page 298, as being 1.25 miles long from the intersection of Tyler Cemetery and McHenry Chapel Road. So the Commissioners established the end of Burns Road in 1947, as being 1.25 miles long, and they're going to reduce the mileage by 0.218 if the vacation is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Eisner. At this time, has the board have an acknowledgement of anyone who request a opponent or proponent of this?
We have not received any correspondence regarding proponents or opponent testimony in regards to this road vacation.
And there is no one here this morning. Thank you. At this time, we will close the public hearing then. So this morning, do we want to add a motion onto the agenda regarding proposed consideration for this vacation of property?
Ms. Curry?
I do have a motion that I have prepared as a proposed add-on for consideration by the board subsequent to the conclusion of today's public hearing. If we would like to add that on for the board's consideration, we can do that at this time.
Do we have a motion to add this to the agenda this morning?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes. Now for the motion. Do you want to do the motion?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is the recommendation to adopt resolution number 16721, determining to vacate a portion of Burns Road, Township Road 321, in Washington Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as described therein, pursuant to and in compliance with section 5553.045 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to adopt resolution number 167-21, determining to vacate a portion of Burns Road T-321 in Washington Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as described. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes. Moving on this morning, do we have anything else to add to the agenda this morning?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Any county staff or elected officials discussions? Hearing none. Members, any member comments this morning?
Just wanted to shout out to Nestle for,
Very nice.
being a great host for a construction tour of their job site this week. It was pretty exciting. It was great to see that. For all the people that asked the question, what is that great big building out there? That big tall building? Because everybody sees that and they think that that's a bunch of rebar to put, concrete around and that kind of stuff. And it's not. It's the ASRS building. And that is the automated storage and retrieval system for Nestle Purina, where it actually stores the bags of dry dog food and then has capability to move them around the building, restock them, put them on pallets, and load them into a building. So I don't know how many people have gotten that question. A lot of people, every time they drive by there, they see that building and they ask the question. So if that was on your mind, it's been solved.
It's all automatic and no human beings in there. It's phenomenal.
300 people working on that job site right now, obviously providing, great jobs for construction workers here in Clermont County.
Absolutely.
So, great thing to see and very exciting.
Well, they were very gracious to take the time to answer all of our questions, and it was nice that other staff from here got to go also.
It's a great thing for Clermont County moving forward. Thank you. Any other comments this morning? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week.